So, you just downloaded Elden Ring, and you've either been exploring or trying to fight the bosses, and you probably noticed, hey, there's a lot of input delay with the rolls in there. That's unfortunate, isn't it? Well, I'm here to help solve that problem for you. So, I'm going to go ahead and link it down in the description, and he actually did ask people to make videos for this because he didn't really compliment himself on his own explanation of the video, or his own explanation of the mod. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how this works, and if you guys have any questions, I can try to help you out. So, the input delay with Elden Ring is essentially because both the sprint and the roll button are all mapped to the same thing, which has been the case for most of the Dark Souls things, but me and many other people, we haven't really had an issue with it until Elden Ring, for various reasons. Some people think it's a bug, some people think it's an intended design flaw. Who knows? None of us are from software, so we don't really know. The point is, it's really annoying because it can get you killed during boss fights really easily, because the way that the dodge button works is that as soon as you press the button, right, you think that it would make you dodge, right? But no, it's when you release the button that you dodge, because of the sprint. You know, you hold the sprint and then you press and release to dodge, which can get you killed in certain situations. So, Kowboybepop, or Crispy as known on YouTube, made the EMU, or Enhanced Moveset Utility, which works as a trainer, but it's not really cheatsy. It's literally just a way to fix the game's innate flaws and to help optimize it for PC. So the main features for it are the ability to quickly use items that you otherwise wouldn't. Like, for example, I use controller, so this doesn't really affect me that much, but a lot of people, they don't like having to go into your inventory and blah, 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 blah. So on keyboard and mouse, it's by default set to C, V, B, N, and left alt is for classic two-handing. But those hotkeys correspond to these top four pouch items. So for me, for example, my top item is, Torrent. So if I press C, I can quickly summon Torrent, and bada bing, bada bitch, it's easy, it's as easy as pie, So, like I said, makes it really simple in a lot of ways for you to manage your inventory. There's also other things, like, for example, for you mages out there, I'm not really a mage, but this is a huge benefit for mages. You can quickly switch to and use different spells if you need to, see? So for me, it's not really that useful because, again, I don't use spells all that often, but it's there if you need it. It also has the classic two-handing, which is not that, big of a deal to me. I like Elden Ring's two-handing. It also introduces a roll cooldown. You don't want to roll or attack unnecessarily. So what this does is it basically completely stops that action queue by delaying it slightly. So you're still going to technically queue up actions, but it's by such a delay that it's not really a queue anymore so much as like a live relay, you know what I mean? So that's the major features of it. There's also a global cast spell, which I don't personally use either. You can change the number. Oh, that's why it's not working. There you go. So as long as you have your spell focus thing equipped, like for me, it's the Scar Seal, it'll work. So, yeah, see, now it's working. You just have to set your attuned spells correctly. For me, I have 8 slots, so it allows me to switch between my 8 different spells. So, beyond that, there is one problem with the EMU, and that is the controller configuration. Well, what you may not know is that the major reason that this script works is that it works based off of a program called AutoHotkey. I don't think you need to install it, because you can compile an AutoHotkey into an executable, and that's how he's made the utility. However, something to really keep in mind is that controllers don't always work with this. Quick addendum here, as I'm in contact with Kowboybepop, or Crispy as he's known otherwise. the new version of enhanced moveset utilities will by default include support for not only direct input but also X input, which should cover all controllers. However, this workaround will still apply to anyone that can't get the controller to work. So if you're having trouble with getting the controllers to work, you can go ahead and keep watching. Otherwise, most of this won't apply to you because the controllers should work by default according to Crispy. He says that the new version will basically include support for all controllers. You'll have to download DS4 Windows if you have a DualShock, but otherwise it should be okay. But the rest of the video will just be for those people that still can't get it to quite work, okay? I had a lot of problems with this mod on my Xbox One controller, for example. So I had to do a lot, literally over 5 to 6 hours of troubleshooting ever since I found it. I actually did make an initial video, but I couldn't get the controller to work, and I just gave up because I wanted to make sure that you guys understood what you should and shouldn't do for the controller. So, according to Kowboybepop / Crispy, technically the controller does work on some instances, but by and large the controller doesn't really seem to work because of the auto hot script key, and that's because of Windows 10 updating, and auto hotkey it can't recognize the Xbox One controller. I don't know about other controllers. I've tried a PS3, an Xbox 360, and an Xbox One controller. None of them worked. So I don't know if a PS4 controller might work. I honestly don't know. What I can tell you is that I couldn't get it to work with an Xbox 360, Xbox One, or PS3 controller inherently with the controller option in the utility. So the controller option in the utility, if it doesn't work for you, simple fucking solution. Go to Steam, which you should have Elden Ring on Steam. Go to your, you have to enable big picture mode. Go to controller configuration if you're using a controller. I'll upload it, and it'll probably be Elden Ring EMU configuration. So you can check the description, or just go to my Steam, and I'll link that, and you'll just find it there. I configured this perfectly to work with the default settings of EMU. So basically, the way it works is B is still the dodge button, and now right-clicking down on the right stick will crouch you, and holding the right stick will snap the camera / allow you to camera lock. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. And then holding down the left click for a bit, I should probably change that down to just the regular press. But holding this down will allow you to sprint, and then everything else is pretty much the same. The only major problem with this method, and it's really not a problem, you're just going to have to get used to it, is right click. Y is technically mounted to the button to accept, and then so the only problem, like I said, with this method is that the menu is not going to be as responsive, just because they are set to specific things and you can't have multiple. If there was an in-game menu keybinds thing, you could probably fix it pretty quickly, but there's not. There's only in-game stuff, so they have to account for the in-game. You can't really account for the non-in-game. So the way that it'll work in menu, and you'll just have to get used to it, is Y is the accept button, and then hold the right analog stick down for a second, and that'll allow you to back up. It's not as responsive. It'll definitely take me a while to get used to pressing Y instead of A, but if you're crippled by having to go into your inventory, you really shouldn't be doing that in Elden Ring anyways, just because you're going to end up dead anyways. So remember, for menus, it is Y to accept, and then you quickly select, I don't know, some random thing, and then you hold the right analog stick down, and that will allow you to exit out of the menu. That is the simplest way to deal with the controller problem that I have found. But once you've got that set up, this moveset utility is hands down pretty fucking useful. I don't think I don't think Elden Ring is going to be nearly as frustrating with this moveset utility on. I'm not going to be really using like any of the quick, like the quick menus, just because I'm not actually using a keyboard, but that's more for keyboard. I'm going to be using the sprint and the roll button and the attack delay for the most part. That is going to be heavily useful, like heavily useful. So basically, if you have any questions about the installation, just go ahead and hit me up in the comment section below. I will link EMU down in the description and Crispy's channel as well. And I will link as well either my profile or the direct link to the configuration for Steam. So if you have any problems with the controller, you'll just go ahead and download that configuration off the workshop, and that will allow you to use EMU without any problems, okay? So if you have any questions, just let me know, and you guys have a good day. Bye-bye. Oh, fuck. Quick little addendum. I decided to append this to the end of the video. Listen, I forgot to mention that you will have to toy around with the in-game settings a bit. Namely, the buttons that are in the EMU GUI. When you open up EMU, you'll see at the side that there's tons of different buttons and stuff. One of the things that he tells you to do is to set the dash, backstep, and roll buttons to I. Like, set what is normally B on the controller to I. Like, if you're on keyboard, that's, like, pretty standard. Like, that's in the install directions if you go ahead and read that. But if you're on controller, you'll also want to properly set up the in-game controls to whatever is in EMU. So by default, the roll backstep button is space, so you want to set that up properly. And sprint is shift, left shift to be exact. So you'll want to set that up properly if you want things to work the way they should. I'll just probably put it up here. I will go ahead and put this up. This is my game settings for Elden Ring, and I'll scroll through, show it all. I disabled all of the controller settings just in case something was wrong with them. You could do that too if you want to be overly zealous, but overall what you want to do is you want to go ahead and just set these to what I've set them to, and that should work properly. I apologize that I didn't mention this earlier, but it didn't come to mind until after I'd already finished recording the video. So, yeah, my apologies.